Okay, the AI has generated the drums track. Let's listen to it. Have you ever wanted to add drums, bass, or any other instrument to your guitar parts? With AI, you can now do that with stem generation. Stem generation is the practice of generating other instrument tracks to add to your own track. Imagine you are showing a drummer something with your guitar and you ask them to add drums on top. You may be saying, look, I want something like this, with the same vibe, with the same energy. The beat should go like toon pa toon toon pa, but make sure that the dynamics follow what I'm playing. Very similar really to what you do when you jam or improvise with other musicians. The thing is, yes, this is now possible with AI, but you want the stem generation to fit what you've played and your style. That's why context-aware stem generation is crucial. So in this video, I want to introduce Moises AI Studio. Moises AI Studio is an AI-first DAW in your browser built for AI-accelerated music production. It allows musicians to get started with a simple idea, say guitar or vocals, and then with AI generate other instruments that perfectly fit their song. But, and here is the important part, unlike other AI tools that generate the full song, AI Studio uses the context of your own initial idea to generate the other stems, to generate the other instruments. This is a revolutionary step in the stem generation industry. Look, I've been with Moises from the beginning. I think my first video with them was in 2022. I've seen all of the updates, all of the features over time, and this is by far the most impressive feature. Now let's have a look together at the Moises AI Studio. So I've just opened my Moises desktop app. I've clicked on the AI Studio feature that, as you can see, it's a beta. Here is where you can drop your audio files. I'm gonna add one of my pre-recorded acoustic guitar tracks that sounds like this. If I click here, I will open the stem generation window where I can select which instrument I want to create. I will get started generating a drums track that will fit what we just listened to, what I just recorded on guitar. I can use either the AI match feature or any of the presets in these genres available here. Let's have a look at what the AI can do. I will just click AI match and I will generate a drums track based on the context audio, which is, in this case, obviously, my acoustic guitar. Okay, the AI has generated the drums track. Let's listen to it. Wow, this is already quite impressive because the drums actually fit what I just recorded and I didn't have to do anything. Obviously, guys, you can see that this DAW feature really recalls, for example, the interface that you see in DAWs like Logic Pro. Here you've got all of your main commands and you've got your metronome, your tempo, the time signature. Now, why don't we compare this with a drum track generated following one of the presets here. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna first mute the AI matched drums, the reason being that when you generate the stem, anything which is not muted will act as a reference, and I want just my guitar to act as a reference here. So I'm gonna mute this one, and I'm gonna use the presets, and for example, I want to hear how it sounds like if I add hip-hop drums. Right, so we're ready now to listen to the hip-hop drums. As you can hear, again, it matches what I've played, but it is different from the AI match that we listened to before. Now, let's say that I'm listening to this hip-hop drums, I like it, but there may be a part maybe around here that I'm not really happy about, I can just highlight it. Clicking on the three dots here, I've got a few options. I can regenerate the selection. This is the custom way of doing it, maybe from a different reference. I can regenerate the selection automatically, or I generate from the selection a brand new track. For this example, let's use a different style. I'm going to go for a ballad. So now, very similarly to what happens in most of those when you have multiple tracks, you have more than one option for this particular selection. So there's a slightly different part in here, and I can decide whether I want a larger or a smaller or a slightly different part of this second regeneration used in the hip hop drum. I think I'm gonna go with a larger part of the regeneration, and it's gonna sound like this. Maybe I need to make it slightly smaller here and extend it at the beginning. Yeah, much better. Okay, let's say that now I want to have a third option with another drum track. So I open my stem generation window, I'm still in drums, but this time instead of using any of the presets, I will go for a custom audio reference, selecting a song from my files that I like the drum style of, and I will generate the stems from there. So let's listen to this third option, this time generated from the custom reference that I uploaded. See, for example, did a different style, and certainly I would work on this selection here to redo it if I wanted to. But so far, I would say probably the hip hop drums is my favorite. Now, in the stem generation, in the custom way of generating the stems, you can, together with uploading your own reference track, you can also give an actual text prompt to the AI, which you can use on its own or you can use in combination to the reference that you upload. For example, now if I wanted to generate another drum tracks based on the reference that I uploaded, but I want to also give a text prompt to it, I could say something like that. Use the reference track, but make it more ballad. Let's see what happens. Okay, let's listen to this new version which combines my reference and the text prompt that I added to it. Wow, this has changed a lot already, it's much more ballad. See, this part that I didn't like in the previous generation is now completely different. So it's really cool to see how the text prompt really helps with the generation of the new stem. Okay, now let's work on another instrument. Let's use a bass. Let's generate a bass track now. Based on, again, on my original guitar idea, I will remove this time the reference. I will not use any preset, but I will only use the text prompt on its own. I will say something like bass line in a ballad style following the root notes of the guitar. Let's see what happens. Okay, so now we've got the bass track as well. Let's listen to it. Wow. Wow, it really follows my idea, and it is in a ballad style, so it also follows my text prompt. Right, so now let's say that we want to keep this second custom drums that we created. We got the custom bass, so we got guitar, drums and bass, but I want to show you a few other features that work like a proper DAW. So you've got the mute buttons and the solo buttons obviously, and you've got the pan, but then if you click on the three dots next to each of these tracks, you've got a few other options, and now I want to show you the edit option. So clicking on the edit, you open the stem editor, And what you can do, you've got three options available. You've got the silence, which means you select an area and you silence that area. You've got the cut, which means that you select an area and you cut that area. Or you've got the crop, which means that you select an area and everything else is muted. So I want to use the silence, which is my favorite. I can listen to the track again. And here is where I wanted to start. So I can zoom in a little bit for more accuracy. I can select it and then use the silence. And now the drums start from here. Then I click on done and I do replace existing. I could save a copy, but I will do replace existing. So now my drums actually start from here. I can listen to it. I can listen to the whole track and it will be like this. Guitar and bass and then drums starting here. Phenomenal. Now, one feature that Moises is known for is the stem separation. So staying on the drums track, I will now separate the various parts of the drums into separated stems. So clicking on the three dots, I can do separate stems. And I can select which stems I want to use. Because this is a drums track, I will be using kick drums, snare, toms, hi-hat and cymbals. And then I will separate them and look at what happens. So now we've got the stems within the custom drum stems. So that is fantastic because it means that I can edit them even further. I can change some parts by selecting an area and regenerating it. I can silence some parts of the drums if I don't want the snare or the kick at the beginning, or whatever other custom edits that you may want to do, including obviously selecting the volume of the different stems separately, generating a sort of inner mixing of the drums track. So how about I keep the kick really strong? I go down with the snare, down with the tom, kind of like this, and now I play it. See, now the kick is really strong, really loud. Now, another interesting feature in the stem generation tab is the one here at the bottom called Creative Control. Now, if you go on the eye next to Creative Control, you're going to see that the Creative Control essentially allows you to manually adjust how creative the stem generation process is going to be. Now, if we turn it on, it will show you that the low values mean more creative stem generations, while instead the high values are for more strict creative control. Particularly, the conditioning strictness means that it will strongly follow what you have requested or the presets that you've selected, and the context strictness is how strictly it will follow your audio context. The last setting, which is also interesting, is how strictly it's gonna follow the chords and the key of the context that we record. So yeah, if you want to play around with this function as well, just make sure to select it here. You will find it literally next to where you generate the stems. Now guys, remember that when you use it, when you are in the stem generation, anytime you are unsure about how many tracks are being used to generate the track, the stem that you want to generate, you have a recap down here, okay? So that's really important. Remember to mute the tracks that you don't want to use as a reference. And then when you're happy with your mixing, when you're happy with your project, you can just export it, clicking here, and you have a few options available in the same way as you have options in your DAW when you export your project. You've got the sample rate, you've got the format, which is really important, and then you can select whether you want to export the mix, so the full project, or the separate tracks. When you're ready to go, you click export and your project is ready. So this really is an extraordinary feature, my favorite feature since I've been using Moises, since I've been working with Moises in the last 4 years. So I highly encourage you guys to explore and experiment with Moises AI Studio. You will find the link in the description below to check it out. Keep in mind that this is a beta version of AI Studio, and that AI Studio is available on the web app and on the desktop app for premium and pro users. Free users can also access it with limitations. input. I'm in touch with the Moises team and they're rolling out updates to the AI Studio feature on a weekly basis, so expect this beta to keep changing and improving to better support more instruments, more styles, more genres. When you experiment with Moises AI Studio, make sure to also share your feedback as it directly helps the development of this feature. It's gonna certainly help the way people produce music using AI, but in a very ethical way, because it always generates new stems, new instruments based off your input, based off your idea.